For generations, Africans have faced and overcome adversities. Today, we in Africa and people worldwide are gripped by a great tragedy which is hidden yet all around us. We ourselves, our loved ones, our communities, and our way of life are threatened. As we have before, we will overcome this disaster. But first, we must face it without turning away. These are people with HIV disease. Real people from Cameroon and Zimbabwe with the courage to talk about AIDS. They are mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, wives and husbands. Many will stay healthy for some time. Others are already quite ill.
Do you have an idea of what you're sick with now?
Yes.
What can it be?
It is the illness of the century, as it is called.
What is it called?
AIDS. Do you think it was possible you could have this disease even before you were told?
No.
You did not think you might have the disease that everyone is talking about?
No.
Why?
Because I did not think this disease existed in Cameroon.
You did not know it existed in Cameroon?
I heard about it, but I didn't believe it.
If people don't believe it exists, maybe people need to have a case like mine. Myself, I did not believe it. Now that I see my daughter's case, well, I'm starting to be convinced that there is such a disease.
How long will it be until we all admit AIDS exists? And then how long until we treat it as a social crisis as well as a medical crisis? Doctors, too, have much more to treat than physical symptoms.
Each case is quite personal. And sometimes it is the beginning which is the most difficult, because you don't know how to tell these patients that they have AIDS. And when you do, you feel like you are witnessing their life, leaving them. They are so stunned. They are stupefied. And then you have to try to cheer them up, to explain. You must listen to them, talk to them. So the responsibility is quite big for one person. What did you feel when you were told you had AIDS?
I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to take the poison to die. And then you advised me, counseled me, and it made me calm down.
Was your family aware about the type of illness you had?
Yes, doctor.
And what did they say when they learned about the illness you had?
They said I brought them shame, but I have to endure it alone because I brought shame on a noble family.
When her son learned that she had AIDS, he abandoned her. Her two children actually abandoned her, saying that their mother had shamed them. So she is a woman who lives only with her younger sister, who did not abandon her. And what do you think of your other brothers and sisters who rejected her?
I'm not in touch with them anymore because I'm on her side.
So they don't take care of you anymore because you stood with her? It means the two of you are abandoned then.
Yes.
Rejection does nothing to stop the spread of AIDS, but AIDS can be stopped. Allowing AIDS patients to speak out freely will help, but many patients are afraid to talk.
Well, at first I was ashamed to tell anybody. Only the doctor and I knew about it.
So besides the doctor, nobody else knew? Why?
Because people are going to laugh at me behind my back.
What about your wife, if she knew?
Oh, it would be a catastrophe.
Why?
I don't know. She wouldn't be able to handle it.
Will she go away?
Of course she would go away. Even though African solidarity is something very strong, I must admit that we are seeing in one patient out of 3, which is a lot, which is enormous. We are seeing terrible things that we are not used to in Africa.
Mutual support within families and communities has been one of Africa's greatest strengths. When support fails, the isolation is doubly painful. Nicole has only her father to rely on, but when he heard she had AIDS, his first reaction was to blame her.
After the doctors told me that she had it, I realized right away that she contracted it by sleeping around.
Immediately her father reacted and even said, "That is what you are looking for in the streets. Here is your reward." I tried to calm the father down by telling him, "No, you must not brutalize the patient," and he went home. But what is most disturbing is that since the father was told about the diagnosis, he seems to be abandoning his daughter. He tells himself, "Why spend the money on someone who will die? I'd rather spend it on raising the other kids." He'd rather give up on her.
Your father does not support you? No one does?
I am alone.
And the rare times her father comes, when I tell her that he is here, she displays such joy. She tells me, "My father? Where did you see him?" I say, "He's in the courtyard, he's coming." She says, "Are you sure he is coming?" It is so comforting for her when she knows her father is here. But the fact that he does not come by regularly makes her feel rejected.
Abandonment by her father means more than emotional pain for Nicole. She needs his support to continue fighting her disease.
We have also seen families coming together. The fact of coping with an unusual fate will unite a couple in their joint struggle for their future together. So, we have seen positive things, not just problems.
Tell us how you first reacted when you learned of your diagnosis.
Nothing has changed. We decided to stay together until the end. We are not blaming each other.
Tendai and her husband, Farahi, learned they were both HIV positive when their baby died. That was 2 years ago.
Both of us, we are infected. So we decided it's better if we can stick together and then help each other think, how can we live with it?
The need for family and community support is urgent.
How do you feel about the fact that your sister has AIDS?
In the beginning, it was like there was a bomb that was about to explode in my heart. But I've seen so many people in the village with this disease and now know that I should not be alarmed. Now that we know she has this disease, we must support her. If I fall apart, what help is that? But if I stay strong, she'll even be stronger than I am.
Marie lives on a small plot of land which she farms with her 5 children. Her husband died 2 years ago. Last year, Marie suddenly fell ill and was diagnosed as having AIDS.
Are you afraid to be beside your sister who has AIDS? Are you afraid to touch her? Are you afraid to live with her daily?
My sister remains my sister. Do you understand? Even if I have to die for her, I will. But you cannot get the illness by hugging or eating together. Only sexual intercourse. No, I am not afraid of her.
A family's love and a doctor's skill and dedication can overcome many things, but not all things. Does knowing the final outcome lessen the pain?
The young person we were supposed to interview, he won't unfortunately be here because he has passed away. He was a young 24-year-old man who had accepted to talk for, as he was telling me, to bring something to science. He wanted to testify because he wanted to help science. Because he was saying it is thanks to other testimonies that we could help him and soothe his pains until he died.
The tragedy of this epidemic is not limited to adults. Children too have AIDS, and they too must be cared for. 5-year-old McCloudy has AIDS.
It's now 5 years since McCloudy's mother died. She died when he was 9 months old, before he could even walk. So I have become his mother. His real mother was my older sister. I just took it upon myself to look after her child. The way I care for my children is the same way I care for him, because the pain my sister went through to have this child is the same I went through to have mine. If it was me who had died, my sister would have looked after my children just as well.
McCloudy will probably not have a chance to grow up, but most children will. Many have already lost parents or will lose parents to AIDS. Their loss will be with all of us for years to come. Yet Africa's future rests on its children's shoulders. Strong, adaptive, and full of hope, our children carry a heavy burden. They need our help and our protection. We must teach them how to prevent AIDS.
This is Farai, my firstborn, and Kumbirai, my second one, and Rosie, the third child. Unfortunately, I had another fourth one who died.
Auxilia's youngest child died of AIDS. Her other children are healthy, but Auxilia herself has HIV disease. She belongs to the generation of adults who should lead Africa into the next century. But in many places, Her generation is being decimated by AIDS.
The most difficult thing is I wish I had longer life and also to look after my children and to educate them. I'm going to die one day. I'm just waiting. And it's only that times becomes very hard when I think, how are these kids going to survive? And I wish I didn't had children before. If it was only me, I'm not leaving any problem for anyone.
Despite everything, Auxilia does not give up. And if she does not, how can we? AIDS can be prevented and will be defeated if we all join in the effort. Those of us who are not infected and those of us who are.
I think it's the high time we remove the stigma from people about AIDS. Because when TB was there, people were afraid, and so many people died before the medicine came. And leprosy came, and people were afraid of seeing people with leprosy, but now they can talk about it in public. Why not with AIDS?
People might think that it's only me and my wife who are HIV positive, and they think they are free from the virus. But it can be one day when one can contract the virus. So I appeal to the people, and again I want to appeal to those who are HIV positive already, who have tested HIV positive, that it's not the end of the world. We are still sailing in the same boat with others. So let's try and cope up, let's try and live with AIDS.
The faces of AIDS are no different from any others. They look like people we know and work with, and people we love. Our response to AIDS reveals our true selves and what we value most. Our children, the children yet to come, and the future of Africa depend on us.